video to join me in bringing you my first middle grade book haul of 2023, if I'm not mistaken, as well as two amazing middle grade audiobooks that I was able to read, or rather listen to this week, that I want to recommend to you because I believe you will love them as much as I did. And so let's just dive right in, and we'll start with audiobooks. And the first audiobook, don't mind the iPad glare, is Viva Durant and the Secret of the Silver Buttons. You guys, this was amazing. So Viva, she is 14 years old and she has been shipped all the way down to Louisiana to spend the summer with her grandmother. Now, she's done this a few times, always with her parents, and so she feels really hesitant because her grandma kind of has a tough exterior. She's Southern, she's from Louisiana, and if you know, you know. In my life personally, my mom's side of the family is all from the South and Louisiana especially, and so I definitely understand her you know, kind of nervousness of how is she going to fit around these really Southern traditional old Black people. I know that's what she's thinking in her head because her family lives in California now. And so when she gets on the plane, she's getting there, she's just hoping that something will kind of spark her summer and give her a great time. And when she arrives there, she sees her grandmother, business as usual, nothing crazy's happening. But that next morning for breakfast, her grandma happens to be reading a newspaper that's featuring an article talking about a young man in their community who is looking for some treasure that his grandma has hidden amongst some of her heirlooms somewhere that is of special value, whether it's gold, jewels, diamonds, and he needs help to find it, but everyone thinks he's a quack. And so Viva's like, well, I'll just make this my little summertime investigation, and she decides to solve this mystery. And so you're following Viva in this book going from estate sales, city council, records, like music stores, but also like city records to find information, almost like she's like doing a little ancestry.com investigation. She is interviewing people. She's going around the community. She's asking questions, all the while trying to keep this hidden from her grandmother because she doesn't want her secret to get out and to get in trouble for investigating and believing this man. And so you just follow Viva throughout the book trying to solve this mystery. And what's really cool about it is that the author was able to spin in the song Miss Mary Mack into the story. And so the person that she's looking for is named Miss Mary Mack. So if you've ever heard of the song Miss Mary Mack, that one, I'll be sure to like link the little song down below. I don't want to sing it, but like that song into the book. And I just love that because I remember listening to that or hearing that and playing that little hand game as a kid. I just love all of those very nostalgic feels the book gave me. This was extremely funny. It was hilarious to hear her grandmother speak in such a Southern drawl and tone because I've experienced that with my own grandmother and my great aunts. And so I think if you have family members who are born in the South, you can really resonate with this. But I love the dynamic that she had with her grandmother because it was real. It felt tangible. It's like I can grab onto that and I can feel the same way. And so this book was amazing. Highly recommend. 5-star read. Super quick. I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. I just loved it. I laughed out loud, never a dull moment. What a great mystery. And there's a second book too that she has. I don't know what that one is. Let me look at it really fast. But the second book that this author has out, which is also on Audible, is Viva Durant and the Madness of Madame Bouchard. That's book number 2, and I will listen to that eventually. And the second audiobook that I was able to finish and complete, oh my gosh, was it hilarious. I'm gonna have to read you some of my favorite lines, but that is gonna be The One and Only Bob by Catherine Applegate. You guys, what a sweet story this was. I mean, right off literally the bat, the first line that Mr. Bob, who is a dog, a beautiful little dog, a golden dog, I think he said he was mixed like Chihuahua or something like that, so kind of small and yappy. But if I can open up here to read exactly what I was able to do, but literally the first line, I think maybe the first, I don't know, after the first paragraph, it says, it talks about the confession of Bob, and it says, look, no one has ever accused me of being a good dog. I bark at empty air, I eat cat litter, and I roll in garbage to enhance my aroma. I harass innocent squirrels, I hog the couch, I lick myself in the presence of company. And I just thought that was hilarious because honestly, just getting the perspective of a dog, man's best friend, tell you this story was unbelievable. And it's just really cool to think, could that be the inner dialogue of a dog? You know what I mean? Could it be like that if animals were able to speak to us, you know? But I loved it. And so basically you're following Bob. He is a dog. And through his little puppyhood, he met and came along two really great people in his life. One of them being Rose, who is this little elephant who is actually kind of orphaned due to some issues with her family. And then we have a gigantic gorilla named Ivan, and he's kind of befriended them. But Bob was able to find a family of people to adopt him. And so he's been living there. But every week or so, his owner takes him down to the zoo to be able to spend time with Ivan and Rose, and he absolutely loves it. He's developed other friends from play dates and going on walks and other dogs that he knows. And one day his owner takes him to this zoo and a terrible tsunami storm takes place, and you're really just watching Bob go from being a very scared, yappy dog, seeing how he can really rise to the occasion and do things that are scary and big, all the while just hearing his funny inner dialogue. And then what I also love, this was read by Danny DeVito, and if you know him from any type of movies, which I don't, I know what he looks like though, but he's so funny. And so it's read with that New York, New Jersey accent, and it just makes Bob just so good. And we just literally love him. And then towards the end of the book, another really important line that I really loved with this book says, let me find it. It says, "I'm working on it. It's like a bone. Sometimes you have to chew for a while before you make any progress." And that's also what was really important about the book, is that literally that line, the very last, almost last line of the book, shows what the book was about. You're watching Bob give you first his inner dialogue, the racy, spacey, buggy thoughts that are inside of a dog's head. But as he's doing it, he's really developing and becoming such a better dog and being able to be there for his friends and to the humans that are in his life and help people when they're in need and really be selfless in himself. He's learning in this book to how to forgive yourself and really just the moral behind how to forgive yourself. When you see so much things that are going wrong and people have done hurt to you, it's like you have to learn to forgive yourself before you can forgive anybody. And that life is like a bone. You got to chew on it for a while before you can really make any progress and see yourself going forward. So this book was amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. Another 5-star listen for me. I mean, I am obsessed. That one I was able to listen to on Libby, and then the Viva Durant book was on Audible, but both were amazing. I absolutely love it. They were both free. If you have the Audible subscription, you can listen to the Viva Durant books for free. It's included. And then the Libby book obviously was free if you have it at your library. But now we can dive into the glorious middle grade books I was able to pick up at Barnes & Noble. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books here. So the very first book I have is Nightbooks. And this is a book I've been wanting for a while because it's a book about books and it's been on my TBR list. And so when I saw it, I picked it up. There's also a book too, but I wanted to get this one first to make sure that I, wanted to read it. But basically this follows a boy named Alex who gets trapped in a nightmare in a really scary story, or I believe it's a scary story. I think book 2 is a nightmare. Yeah, he gets trapped in a really scary story. He loves scary stories. They're one of his favorites, but he gets trapped in it. And now he's trying to do everything in his power to get away from the witch who is trapped in. And the way that Alex figures out to get away from this is to be able to read the witch one of the books that he has written, one of the scary stories that he's written. He believes that if he can write this scary story and keep her engaged by reading it to her, maybe he can get away. And so I think that's really interesting because I also love psych thrillers and true crime, and I haven't read too much in the way of like spooky middle grade books. And so I definitely cannot wait to dive into this one. Then I was able to pick up a book that I recently saw on Goodreads actually, and it says From the Desk of Zoe Washington. And I wanted it because she's an African-American girl. And like I said, I've been trying my best over this past couple of years of reading. I'm trying to read more with Black main characters and Black authors. But this one follows Zoe, and it says, what does a girl say to a father she's never met? Hadn't heard from until this letter arrived on her 12th birthday, and who's been in prison for a terrible crime, a crime he says he never committed. Could Marcus really be innocent? Zoe is determined to uncover the truth. And this also sounds really interesting because it matches very closely to the Viva Durant book in terms of just like mystery and just trying to uncover the truth of something. But I really like it because you never really know what someone's going through until they tell you. And in my life personally, I don't have a relationship with my dad. My mom is a single mom. It was a lot of it was traumatic, let's just say that. And so no, my father is not in prison. And my heart goes out to any of you who have to go through that and what that's like, or just anyone who doesn't have a parent in their life. Like it's it's interesting dynamic. I know it was the best for me and my siblings, and my mom made an excellent decision in what she did, but it's always just a little bit heavy, and you always wonder what would have been like if I was someone who was able to have an actual father figure. And so this book just kind of stood out to me in that aspect, and I would just love to see her seeing if figuring out if her father is innocent, does that form a connection and a relationship between her and her dad? And so that's why I picked up this one. And I'll be sure to link all these down below, as well as the 2 audiobooks. Then the next one I got, and this is Ura Shah and the End of Time. And the cover is just absolutely beautiful. And this is a young girl, and I believe she is a young Indian girl, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And her mother works at the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture. And so basically, Ura Shah is, or Arusha, make sure I'm pronouncing it right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. She is a young girl in school, and she finds that most of her classmates get to go on these wild adventures and vacations with their family to Paris and all over the world. And she kind of feels bad that her summer is going to be at the museum with her mom, and she kind of feels bad about it. So she's been kind of telling some fibs and some lies. Well, when she gets to the museum, she is just going about her summer, and a couple of the classmates show up to kind of catch her in the lie that she's told, and she's really worried that she's going to be kind of laughed at. And so she goes over to this genie lamp and does the thing she said it was going to do, and then it does it. And so basically you're just kind of watching her go through the fact that she said a fib, she told a lie, and a lie actually came true, and now she's going to have to figure out how to handle everything. It says, but the lightning of the lamp has dire consequences. It says she unwittingly frees the sleeper, an ancient demon who is intent on awakening the god of destruction. Her classmates and mother are frozen in time, and it's up to Aru to save them. And so her lie, her little fib, her little tell has kind of got her in a little bit of a trouble. And I think that sounds really interesting. Raven Fall by Kaylin Josephson. And this follows a 13-year-old girl named Anna, and her life has never been normal. She says her family has some interesting abilities with magic and things that like psychic abilities, and it looks like that they can connect people from the human world and of other worlds. And it's been really hard for her to learn how can she kind of contribute, what can she do, what is her purpose in her family. So when a 14-year-old boy named Colin Pierce arrives at Ravenfall, which happens to be, I think, like a little, maybe a like an inn or like a little cottage maybe that people can stay at, like a hotel kind of. He's searching for his missing older brother. Anna jumps at the chance to help him, but the mysteries tied to Colin go much deeper than either of them expects. And so you're just kind of watching her trying to connect Colin back to his brother, whether he's just missing, and she finds that there's a lot of secrets that are there. And the reason why I picked it up is because it was giving me fall vibes, and it is November, almost December, the Christmas holiday spirit. I can smell it already, but I did want to pick up one of these books, and maybe I'll like end up reading it before then, or at least in the beginning of winter, just because I feel like even though Christmassy decorations begin like after Thanksgiving, I feel like Christmas in cold winter weather doesn't start until like later on in the month. So I wanted to grab that one. So the very next book and the last book that I picked up in this little book haul is going to be City Spies by James Ponti. And basically this follows a young girl named Sarah who is really good at hacking. And she has recently hacked into the foster care system to expose her foster parents for being cheats, lawbreakers, and just really bad people. And so doing that has gotten her in trouble. And at this point, she's getting, sentenced to lots of years in the juvenile detention center, and she doesn't know what to do, and she feels like everything around her is just crashing and falling. And then she meets Intermother, a British spy who offers her a way out of her current problem and the chance to make a home for herself within a top secret MI6 agency. And so I think that is something that is just so cool. So you're definitely getting some found family in this book, and some maybe even some character development. And so basically you're just following Sarah navigate that with some of the other young children who are orphans that happen to be staying with Intermother. And you see her, it says in the back, defeating a villain, hacking into a school's computer system to prevent some students from winning millions of euros, dangling 30 feet off the side of a villain while navigating the complex dynamics of her new family. And so I just think this just sounds like so much character development. It sounds like adventure and mystery. It also sounds like just a lot of found family. And I think that's really great. And I absolutely love the fact that we can see in this book, a child rise to the occasion out of a really difficult situation and come to the top, doing even better than they ever imagined. And so I wanted to pick up that book as well. But again, I'll link all these down below for you guys. Oh God, avalanche. But I am so excited that I was able to pick up each of these fantastic books and listen to those amazing audiobooks. And then the very last thing I want to show you is I went to Five and Below on my way home, and I was able to pick up the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone little Christmas ornament. And I think it's freaking adorable. Isn't that not? I was looking for book number 4, but they only had this one, and they had The Prisoner of Azkaban, but I didn't want that one. So I just got this one. So this year I will have this on my tree, and I feel like it's fitting. But even if it's not on my tree, it can just kind of like, you know, sit as a little decorative piece on my bookshelf. Well, yeah, that's going to conclude today's video. And if you liked it, do not forget to give it a thumbs up and hit your notification bell. Then you will be notified every single time I post a video. And subscribe to the YouTube channel and join the Bookish fam, because honestly, we're so nice and we have so much fun together. And I'll be sure to link everything down below so that you can grab a copy of any of these books if you want them, as well as listen to the 2 audiobooks that I was talking about today. And without further